Good evening. Welcome to Bartlett United Methodist Church. We are absolutely thrilled that you are here this evening, and we are absolutely thrilled to have the St. Olaf Band here with us tonight to share in music. A couple of housekeeping details first and foremost. I went to a funeral yesterday. The gentleman managed to grab his cell phone after just 2 rings during the service. So please silence your cell phone, if you would, for us tonight. If you need a restroom, they're out the main doors here and to your right. There is a couple of baskets at the back of the sanctuary if you would like to make a love offering to St. Olaf's Band tonight. There's also CDs available for purchase and some clothing as well, if you wish to do that. There will be a brief 10-minute intermission during the program this evening. And then finally, want to just explain that we are hosting because Monday night, the University of Memphis informed the band that they had to cancel because of some logistical problems related to the weather. And so they called. Dr. Dorn has some Memphis connections, and we were able to get connected with the band, and that is how they have rounded up tonight here at Bartlett, and we are thrilled that they are. They are in the middle of a week-long choir tour covering parts of Kansas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, and Iowa. And as I said, Dr. Henry Dorn is the conductor, and he is a graduate of the University of Memphis. He was born and raised in Little Rock, and we're just thrilled that you are here and that they are here.
Good evening, y'all. It's good to see you. It's nice to be able to say y'all and be understood. It is a pleasure to be back down in what I feel like are my old stomping grounds here. It is a pleasure to be here in Memphis. There are a lot of times where I feel like I've probably spent more time actually in Memphis than I do at my own home state, Little Rock. My wife, Alicia White, hails from here. We both met at the University of Memphis. She's a clarinet player, better musician than I think I was. And we learned so much in that space. And it's really interesting to see this full circle moment from our time being at the University of Memphis and then me being here now. She wishes she was here. She's in Minnesota with our two girls. And I'm sure it's possibly maybe catching up on what we've got going on now. So it's great to see all of you this evening. You probably have heard and seen that we've had a little bit of a gnarly set of circumstances concerning our concerts over the last couple of days. So to see so many faces out here is so incredibly encouraging. Thank you for joining us. The first work on this evening's program is a work by American composer Norman Delajoyo. Background as an organist, comes from a long line of organists, New York-based for a good portion of his life. Dibbled and dabbled in jazz as a pianist also, and so there's a certain part of his language that is based in like this older music, Renaissance music. He was very, very fascinated by things that are old and kind of and using some kind of newer inflections or harmonies and things like that with that music. And so this piece that we played just now, the finale from Scenes from the Louvre, he was essentially doing music for a documentary and about one of the world's oldest and largest museums. And this was an award-winning set of music, and so he did a suite for that, and this band work that we just played is the finale from that. So our entire program, American Graffiti, is based on this idea of art and artwork, particularly looking at some forms of American artwork, and we thought that we'd invite you all to join us on a little bit of an exhibit. That's what we're going to do this evening. So that was the first work. Next work on our program is going to actually be a solo work. There's a piece by American composer Erica Wazen, who for a long time has been on faculty at Juilliard, a theorist, pianist. He wrote this sonata for tuba, quite a while ago, over 20 years ago. I mean, maybe close to 25 years ago. And eventually became something that John Rojak, if that name's familiar with any of you all, played on Broadway for a really long time, really fine bass trombone player, played it as a sonata for bass trombone, and then becomes the concerto for bass trombone and wind ensemble that we're going to play in this next format, and so that's the next work that we're going to play. The soloist that's coming to the stage is actually a current member of this group, plays bass trombone, is a Greek and music composition and music performance major. It's a lot of stuff, all under one hat. And really, really fine musician, is working on their first symphony currently. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, that's a lot of work as a composer. And so, but is a really, really phenomenal musician, is doing some really, really incredible work. So I'd like to welcome to the stage the guest soloist with our group for this piece, Aria Giefer. All right. Coming from a fellow trombonist, I got to tell you, I've played that piece. It's a lot of notes for a trombone player. Slide's got to move quite a bit. And you know what? Really, really fantastic work on that. A lot of preparation. We auditioned off folks for the solos, for the tour, and you know, Aria just knocked it out of the park. Really, really, really proud of that. Junior this year. The next work on our art program, continuing on with our theme, is actually a work that we're premiering as a part of our tour. It's a work by an Australian composer by the name of Jody Blackshaw, and has become much more, I think, increasingly more popular in the last, I don't know, probably 10 years or so here in the US. We performed a work of hers called Twist last year that's really, really awesome. Really speaks to her background in Australia, actually, and you know, it's a piece, frankly, about this river that runs through a big part of the southern part of the state going upward, and is a part of the economic system and a lot of other things, the ecosystem in that state. And our group actually premiered her symphony a few years ago as well. So we've got a long-standing relationship with Jody. And she approached me about this work that was actually commissioned and written for the Brisbane Girls School Symphonic Band. And it just for one reason or another fell through from a performance standpoint. And she said, you know, would you just look at it and see what you think? Maybe if you could maybe play through it and see what you feel about this. And I felt so compelled by what it's about. This artist, somewhat lost in time, by the name of Alice Crockett, kind of turn of the century from the 1800s into 1900s, Australian artist and poet, and just an artist. Studied in Paris for a period of time at a point where her as a woman studying in those spaces would have been very unusual. And the piece is based around a poem from around 1905 or so. It was published in a newspaper, and she kind of talks about the challenges that she's had as an artist working in this space, and kind of reconciling her thoughts about, you know, sickness and health, and just trying to be an artist in a world that didn't really want to recognize her in the work that she was doing. So Wind of Life is based on that. We'll have that be the next piece on our program. Is Jody Blackshaw's Wind of Life. Thank you so much. Right. Continuing on with our art-based theme, a little more coming back to the U.S. here in this next bit. There's a work on this next part of the program by a composer by the name of Joe Tien. Dr. Joe is on faculty at Michigan State University. Go green, go white. I don't know if there are any folks out there that happen to be Michigan State folks. I am, so I figured I'd take the liberty of doing something, just now. None of y'all went with it, it's fine. Dr. Joe has been on faculty there as professor of composition at Michigan State, and he mostly has done a lot of his work in the orchestral realm. The majority of his pieces are pieces for like string orchestra, symphony orchestra, and he's done quite well in that arena. And this next work was his first venture into writing for band. Michigan State University has a rather robust band program, and the director of bands there, Kevin Sedadal, one of my mentors, approached him and said, hey, we're going to play at the College Band Directors National Association Conference this next year, which this group just did this past spring, by the way. Let's, humble brag. And it's a very selective process to get in at Michigan State, very fine wind symphony there. And so he writes this next work, Petals of Fire, based on a piece of art by the same title, by an American artist. And one of the things he talks about in this work is that every single member of the ensemble in this music, in and of itself, is like a petal. Each one having its own function, whether it's dancing, whether it's spiraling, whether it's having joyous moments, whether it's having moments of coming down. It's supposed to just be this whirlwind of sound where every single part of the ensemble is all collective little petals that come together to form a more kaleidoscopic thing. And in his music, he's kind of got, his harmonic language is probably, and the things he writes are probably kind of akin in some ways to like this kind of French impressionistic music. Like he favors Stravinsky, he likes Ravel and Debussy, and those things are all in there, particularly as a pianist is his primary instrument. But he also brings in parts of his Chinese heritage and interweaves some of those things in some of the language he has as well. So the next work on our program, closing out the first half, is Joe Tien's Petals of Fire. Welcome to the second half of our American Graffiti program. The top of this half includes a rather well-known work by composer Eric Whitaker. Pretty well known for a lot of his choral music, and coming from Minnesota, no doubt, has spent a lot of time in Minnesota because Minnesota's a bit of a choral capital in some ways. Lots of choral tradition in that state and lots of singing. And from our college, no less, lots of singing at St. Olaf College. And this work, Sleep, that we're going to perform next, has an interesting kind of pathway to its creation. He originally got this commission to do this work and had set it and done all the things, and it was finished basically, and it's, to some Robert Frost words, and the Frost estate comes back and says, actually, you do not have permission to use those words or that poem. This is like a crush of death for a composer. Especially having already done all the work and don't have permission. So he does probably the next thing besides panic and says, well, I gotta have something, I need some words. And he goes to his friend Charles Silvestri and says, Tony, look, I have this situation. I have this piece, I need some words. Do you think you could actually take something that has kind of the pacing of Frost's words and kind of a similar setup and write something that would fit this music? This is cart before horse type stuff we're asking of right at this point, It'd be like taking a Michael Jackson song and I'll say, okay, we got all the music lined up, which would be really nice, I'm sure, but then be like, okay, now make up your own words. It's sort of like that. But Sylvester comes back with this really, really fantastic set of words that kind of talks about this restless mind and kind of waving in and out of sleep and wrestling and finally kind of succumbing to it near the end of the music. And it's really, really, really enchanting stuff. And so this component is a bit about art by way of words and then through poetry, and that'll be the next work on this program that I myself am not conducting. The next person that you will see coming to this box is actually one of my current students, is a music education, senior music education major, will be student teaching this spring. As a section leader in this group, horn player, member of the St. Olaf Orchestra, is quite a singer in his own right, and I'm very, very proud of the work that he's doing and really, really looking forward to seeing where he's going to go in life. So without further ado, might I welcome the conductor of this next piece, Aidan Fitzpatrick. All right. Another round of applause for Aiden Fitzpatrick there. It's quite a huge undertaking to have someone like that step up and say they're going to conduct their peers. And we auditioned off that spot. You know, a number of folks came forward, and he has done a fantastic job actually rehearsing this ensemble. That's a bit of a scary thing to do, to jump in front of a group of your peers. And I don't know about you, I think it's a pretty good sounding band. And getting in front of these folks can be intimidating. And they're all different majors up here. A little over 50% of the group's makeup, in fact, is non-majors, which is somewhat unique. We're a 3,000 person college in Northfield, Minnesota, and about 1,000 folks out of that population are engaged in music, which is a fairly large number of people. And a good number of them, like I said, I think the most popular major outside of music in the group is, I think, environmental studies, if I remember correctly. The group's favorite color is forest green. I mean, take that for what you want to take it as. And it's fascinating. But they work incredibly hard, and so Aiden Fitzpatrick put that together. I'm really, really proud of him. I want to tell you a couple things about the last couple of days that I think you might find interesting, and how we have found ourselves in the fortuitous situation of being here, Bartlett United Methodist. We were coming through Little Rock, and we were coming from Fayetteville into Conway, and we were hearing a tale of like issues with ice. And coming from being born in Little Rock, I was like, oh, that's right. When there's ice down here, it's like, you know, all the shelves are empty of milk, eggs, bread, water. I don't know how people cook eggs when the power goes out, but all the eggs are gone, you know? And it's really, you know, kind of interesting. And so we were getting into Arkansas, and we were having a little bit of trouble with some of the schools that we were planning to work with because schools were closed because of ice. And, you know, there's, you know, whole ice skating rinks that are out there on the roads, and we recognize that. And the same, I understand, was true in the Memphis area, and having a challenge of trying to get, with the Scheidt School of Music in the center, we were looking so much forward to it, and because of a number of different reasons with closures, we're not able to get into that space for the concert that was originally scheduled for yesterday evening. Well, you know, we jumped on the phone and we started contacting high schools, and for the same reason, high schools were closed, couldn't get into the high schools. It was like, well, we may have just lost ourselves an opportunity to perform here. And the students were, you know, really quite bummed. And I want to draw some attention to a couple of really, really key players. One, I'd like to say a really, really huge thank you to all the folks that are on staff here and that have supported us. Notably Pastor Dean Emerson, Eric Procem, Chair of the Board of Trustees, for allowing us the space here. The church staff who hauled chairs and rearranged equipment and put up with us, Eddie Lindsay, Rachel Hasty, David McDonald, Karen Strawhecker, and also to Trevor Rundell, Director of Bands at Bartlett High School, for loaning us music stands, because, man, like, we sincerely needed that. Like, really, really appreciate it, yeah. Yeah. Huge community effort trying to put this together, and you all came through. But I'm gonna bring attention to two other incredibly special people. One being my colleague Tara Woodfield, who's the band's manager, that's sitting over here with my in-laws, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, Ron and Charlotte White, and would not give up on my goal and my dream of being able to perform here in Memphis, and would not let go of it, and I appreciate you. So she reached out to Mary Wilson, some of you may know, who is on faculty at the University of Memphis, fantastic soprano, is an alum of St. Olaf College, and said, hey, here's our situation, here's what we got going on, can you help? Who do you know? And we actually have a long tradition of playing in churches, and you know what, she was like, you know what, I might know a person or two. And reached out to Donia Wade, who's the music director here. Are you, Donia, are you somewhere? Oh, you're up top, hi. Has been our ever constant companion and has answered every single beck and call. Tara contacted her, she came up to the building, was like, let me get some measurements for you, let me make some calls. You've been incredible. I just want to say thank you so incredibly much for everything that you've done, sincerely. You've made about 86 folks on stage incredibly happy, and we thank you. It's been our pleasure being able to perform in this space and be a part of your community for this event. Thank you so much. Okay, before I start getting teary-eyed, they know that I'm a big crier, I'm sorry to say, but we kind of embrace it in the community on stage. The final work on our program is a piece by up-and-coming composer by the name of Kataj Copley. And when I say up-and-coming, I mean like he's got meteoric rise. Like, folks are playing his stuff in the band where he has become incredibly popular. A lot of accessible music, a lot of really interesting sounds, and soundscape that he's shaping is really, really cool. He approached me sometime about a year ago and said, "Hey, I know you. I respect you. I know that you're in a place with a really, really fine ensemble. I respect that ensemble. I would like to do some collaborative work with you." It's like, "Yeah, let's talk. Let's do that." And he was working on this piece that he's put together that we're about to play. It was for his dissertation work, his doctoral work at Michigan State, which if any of you in this space have doctorates, you know that is like, to be all, ABD is like all but dead. I mean, you've done everything imaginable except for that. And this was the last thing, his capstone. And he puts together this piece that's basically his take, a modern take on Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition, where he's got, in the classic Pictures at an Exhibition, it's like a sonic music exhibition, right? You're going through a museum, you're encountering artwork, and we're sonically experiencing each one of those pieces in that work. Well, Cottage, in his modern setting, says, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it through an American lens, and I'm going to think about modern artwork, and particularly artwork that is part of the African-American community. So pieces that have been created and done by African-American artists. And so that's the piece itself that materialized was this fantastic thing, American Graffiti, that looks at all kinds of different artwork from different artists that are, most of which are still living actually in the US. And so there's a QR code in your program where you can find out a little more about the pieces that are being referenced and learn more about the artwork that we're gonna play our ways through. So we've got 10 movements to get through, and I think that'll be the end of our show. We are so grateful that you all came out and joined us, and thank you for a fantastic evening of music making.
Good evening. I'm so sorry. This won't be long. I just want to say one more time, Dr. Dorn, band, oh my gosh, that was phenomenal. Thank you so much for blessing us tonight. Thank you. And thank you all so much for coming out to hear this prestigious band. Wonderful. Y'all be safe and stay warm. Safe travels. Enjoy the rest of your tour. Thank you so much.